Welcome, Spiritual Mag. My name's Sam Bell, and today we are going to check into something I just learned about. It's so amazing. So, 1995-ish, um, I've spent the day working as a volunteer in the office of Novus Spiritus in Cupertino. Not Cupertino, Campbell. Sorry. Sorry, Cupertino. And Sylvia Celeste Brown's outfit. So I'm burnt. I've been every day. It's every day. Every day. It's very exciting. So I remember I'm exiting the auxiliary room that I'm just kind of stashed in, doing stuff, and I'm going out the front door, and there's still everybody's there's just buzzing. And I forget the lady's name, man. She was a sweetheart, a big lady. I know she was a bishop. I know that. She said, "You got to stay, Sam. You got to stay for Raheem." And I'm like, "Oh, who's Raheem?" I mean, I'm like, "Oh man, it's like when is this like 8 o'clock or something? They're gonna Raheem is whatever." And I'm like, "What?" You know. So she goes, "No, you got to stay. You can't miss Raheem. He doesn't come very often, right?" I'm like, "Okay, all right." So I make a U-turn, go back in my room where there's a little coffee table where I'm jammed at, responding to oodles of calls for the loving Sylvia Celeste Brown. Okay, so Raheem. Okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen. All right, so. Well, we're going to use the back room, which means it's got to be set up for a group. So, hello, Sam. That's your opportunity to set up chairs. This is a smaller room. Maybe it seats 60 people. You could jam 100 people in there if you needed to, but I think maybe 65, 70 people in there. And there's a stage, and then there's two industrial fans that I've never seen before. I think they rented them or something. I don't know where the hell they got them, but they had two of these suckers, big mojos, like, like a big electric motor up there with I think probably weighed 80 pounds, the whole thing, or more, maybe more. There's two of them, one on either side. And then there was one or two more little ones that kind of go, move back and forth in the middle. So I'm like, oh, check that out, man. Holy moly, what the hell's that, right? So, but there was a buzz in the air. There was a buzz in the air, and there were people there that I don't know how they knew because just at the last minute we've learned that Raheem was going to be there. So it was just at the last minute that it all happened. But some people showed up that nice people. Okay, so the everybody's in there, the doors are shut, fans are on. I'm at the very, very back. Got the right behind me, I've got the doors that open up to exit in an emergency, and it's folding chairs everywhere. And I put up all the chairs everywhere, and I put in my name, Sam, save, and I put it in the front row, and somebody took the sticker off, so I'm stuck in the back. Right. I'm like, oh. And it's hot. It's hot. It's a hot day. It's a warm day. It's California. So, well, I'll see. Normally, Sylvia's like running around just like that, right? Going from one room like a squirrel. You ever see these squirrels running for one spot? So this time she's kind of like walking, and she looks like there's a cleaning material called Mr. Clean. And it shows this big genie like guy with muscles, right? And he's like, yeah, that's what she looked like. It wasn't Sylvia. It wasn't Sylvia. It was Sylvia's body, but it was not Sylvia. her walking, her muscle tension, her posture, her respiration. Not it was like and Larry and I believe Michael escorted her. I don't think anyway, I think Larry and Michael, her secretary, escorted one on either side, and she walked in, and then she turned, and then she walked up, and she sat in the chair in the middle with the fans on her, and she crossed her legs like a genie. I'm like, whoa, right? But her muscles were doing new stuff from the time I saw her on my far left, or Raheem, I guess. So, okay, Raheem, and he's gonna, and the ministers had to be there, and the ministers, it was mandatory that I'm at that. Okay, okay. So, uh, I don't remember I think it was Michael. I don't know if it was Michael. I can't remember if it was Michael or it was Michael, her secretary, that was helping coordinate with what was going on. And it was explained that Raheem was going to answer a question for every minister. And Sam also, minister in training. I'm the only minister in training in the room. There's no other ministers in training. I'm the only one. So they can answer one question. Like, okay. So I'm way at the back. So by the time he gets to me, I ask them, Sam, your turn. I ask, uh, the French president is detonating nuclear weapons off the coast of Tahiti and is causing Earth fragmentation, structure, volcanic activity and earthquakes in New Zealand, where I'm a permanent resident. I love New Zealand. Hello. Is there anything you can do to help inhibit this French president? And then Sylvia, or correction, Raheem answered through Sylvia, um, I'm going to send a messenger to the Great White Brotherhood. I'll repeat that. So then Raheem said, I'm going to send a message to the Great White Brotherhood. So then Michael said, Sam, just relax. When someone comes back, then when message comes back to the Brotherhood, Great White Brotherhood, uh, it's your turn to talk again. I'm like, okay. So I sit down. So couple times, a couple more ministers pass me, where they're asking questions. So then Raheem, which is Sylvia's body, with Raheem coming through, Raheem says, the messenger has come back. And we're like, okay. I'm like, all right. No, I'm not really excited about this. I'm kind of like, it's probably like close to 10 o'clock at night. So I'm fried. And so uh, he said, well, we cannot violate the free will of the president, or the leader of France. However, we can adjust the volcanic responses to these nuclear weapons tests by having the volcanic activity happen out in the ocean and not in New Zealand. That we can do because the Earth, in a sense, is flexible in that way with interaction with the Great White Brotherhood. So I'm sitting in the chair at the back row going, okay, thank you. So what's happening is I'm thinking about something. I say some words. Raheem says some words. Michael says some words. I'm sitting there. I'm still tired. I'm exhausted. Now I'm going home, and all I happened was I said some words. So I'm like, I'm not all excited. I'm not thrilled or like, oh, good. Well, you know what happens? The guy sets off the weapon, and there's underwater volcanic activity, and um, there was no injury to New Zealand. Matter of fact, to Auckland. I forgot to include that what Raheem said was that it was uh, prior to my making that statement that the volcanic uh, activity would occur in Auckland. That's the important part. That the volcanic activity, if I had made that request and the French president let off the same weapon underwater, that it would have transmitted a greater earthquake to Christchurch, etc. And um, the Great White Brotherhood can do that. I guess I don't know if terraforming is the correct word, but so so that's what happened back in '95. So I'm like, I am clueless. I have no clue who Raheem is. I'm thinking of some guy with a camel. I'm thinking it must be some guy with a camel and turban. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm looking, who's Raheem? I give up. I don't know I know who Sophia is, but I don't know who this Raheem person is. I'm assuming it's a guy or something, sounds guyish. So, let's see, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, just a couple days ago. Oh, December 14th. So I wrote this December 14th, December 13th. I learned this. The chat GP, whatever, I put in who I'm connected with, the organizations I'm connected with, and said, what's the background on Raheem? Because I'm thinking, oh, well, might as well ask. Now, what brings that up to mind is I was being interviewed, and the interviewee asked me, who was Raheem? And I go, I don't know. Yeah, and that was, a year or two ago. And I'm still thinking, who is this Raheem? But now this chat GPT or whatever it is, man, that thing's good. So there's the background with me and Raheem. Now, so here's what I put together December 14th, 2025, which includes appropriate information and background, integrating my experience with Raheem and Sophia by Sam Bell. Loved one, this analysis compares Raheem, Dwal and Metronon through the lenses of Gnosticism, Theosophy, Kabbalah, and higher dimensional master teacher traditions. The purpose is not devotional storytelling, but disciplined comparison, focusing on function, authority, epistemology, and the risks of misunderstanding each figure. These three are often treated as if they belong to the same category. Well, they do not. They represent fundamentally different modes of intelligence and consciousness engagement, and confusing them produces predictable failures in discernment. Rahim is best understood not as a discrete being with a fixed cosmic office, but as an attribute based or field aligned intelligence. The name itself derives from the Semitic root RHM, meaning mercy, compassion, and womb like care. Across traditions, what is being contacted is not a personality in the human sense, but a field, a resonance field oriented towards emotional coherence and reassurance. Because Raheem offers as a relational presence rather than an individual authority, its expression varies across channels and contexts. This variety is not a flaw, it is intrinsic to field based intelligences. Raheem's core function is emotional regulation, calming fear, stabilizing inner turbulence, and supporting individuals during periods of transition, trauma integration, or early spiritual awakening. Communication is typically effective and intuitive, felt more as a presence than an instruction, often conveyed through emotional imagery or gentle prompting. The primary risk with Raheem is not deception, it's epistemic softness. Emotional validation can be mistaken for truth. Comfort can be confused with authority if discernment is not maintained. Dwalkul, by contrast, represents an individuated master teacher within the theosophical tradition. His presentation is remarkably stable across texts, reflecting a consistent pedagogical identity. He is described as operating on higher mental planes, often framed as fifth or sixth dimensional consciousness, and his function is explicitly instructional. Dwakul communicates cognitively rather than affectively. Historically, this took the form of structured dictation and systematic teaching. His emphasis is on disciplined study, synthesis of esoteric knowledge, and the cultivation of mental clarity. The relationship he establishes hierarchical, teacher and student, curriculum and initiate. His work is preparatory, aimed at building esoteric literacy and training individuals for service roles that require discernment and structure. The risk here lies in mistaking structure for truth. When symbolic authority replaces lived verification, intellectual dependency can form. The danger is not hierarchy itself, but rigid adherence without inner confirmation. Metronon occupies an entirely different category. With Kabbalistic, Enochian, and later mystical traditions, Metronon functions as an archetypical cosmic administrator, an intelligence adjacent to the Logos itself. Rather than teaching in a human sense, metronon governs intelligibility, translating divine order into structured reality. This role is exceptionally stable across traditions. Communication associated with metronon is rarely conversational. It is symbolic, mathematical, geometric, often experienced through visions of sacred geometry, numerical patterning, or overwhelming structural insight. Contact tends to reorganize perception rather than transmit guidance. The principal risk with metronon is over abstraction and ego inflation. Attempts to personalize metronon or claim special access often signal a category error, confusing a governing principle with a relational guide. In classical traditions, such personalization is considered ontological collapse. Yes. Now, from a Gnostic perspective, these distinctions matter deeply. Raheem aligns most closely with Sophia like compassion. I repeat, from a Gnostic perspective, these distinctions matter deeply. Raheem aligns most closely with Sophia, like compassion and intelligence that reduces fear and supports sovereignty through reassurance and inner knowing. Joel Kuhl and Metatron align with ordering intelligence that can either illuminate or dominate, depending on the seeker's maturity. Each plays a role in human development. Raheem stabilizes emotional turbulence and is most appropriate during eager early awakening or crisis phases. Joel Kuhl trains discernment and synthesis, serving intermediate to advanced students engaged in discipline, study, and Metatron confronts the seeker with the cosmic order itself, dissolving anthropocentric assumptions and challenging identity boundaries. Such encounters are appropriate only after ego stability is firmly attached. A classical Gnostic discernment test clarifies these roles. Raheem reliably reduces fear and increases personal sovereignty without demanding obedience. Joakul may or may not reduce fear, increase sovereignty through study, and can occasionally elicit obedience through hierarchy. Metatron neither confronts, comforts, nor commands, but its impact can be overwhelming, demanding psychological readiness. In synthesis, Raheem functions as a compassionate field intelligence. Repeat, in synthesis, Raheem functions as a compassionate field intelligence oriented towards heart coherence and emotional stabilization. Dwakul is a pedagogical master teacher focused on structured knowledge and disciplined initiation. Metatron is a cosmic ordering principle that translates divine law into form. They are not equivalents. They are not interchangeable, loved one. They are not a ladder of superiority, loved one. The final the final caution is critical. Advanced traditions repeatedly warn against confusing comfort with authority, structure with truth, or pattern with personhood. Raheem should never replace discernment. Dracul should never replace lived experience. Metatron should never be personalized. Each represents a distinct function and a phase of consciousness engagement, loved one. Properly understood, they support your development. Confused, they become sources of distortion. That distinction is the work of discernment itself. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Samuel Joseph Bell, civilian journalist, spiritualmag.org.